Welcome to my example radar chain video for Route 10. This will be part of a series of videos where I will be demonstrating how to optimally radar chain for shinies in each route in Pokemon X and Y. I will be making references to the Pokéradar route analysis document in this video. The link to the document will be in the description of this video if you don't already have it. Okay, you can get to Route 10 either by heading south from Geosenge Town or by heading north from Silage City. I'm in Silage City at the moment, so I'm just heading up to Route 10. This is the route with all these stone pillars. The Pokemon available at Route 10 are Golett, Sigilif, Hawlucha, Snubbull, Eevee, Emolga, and the version exclusives are Houndour if you're playing X, and Electrike if you're playing Y. There is a significant difference in encounter percentages between the grass and the yellow flowers here, which is actually very useful when trying to encounter the first Pokemon of your chain if we utilize the yellow flower migration strategy, and I'll demonstrate how that works in a bit. The only Pokemon that doesn't change its encounter rate is Emolga, which is a 5% encounter either way. But that doesn't matter since Emolga is an electric type, so you can boost its encounter rate with static. So if you want to chain Emolga, make sure you lead with the Pokemon with the ability static, and the same logic applies with electric. The difficulty of radar chaining Route 10 is a bit of a tricky thing to quantify. I put it at just above average difficulty on my scale. Most of the difficulty of chaining this route comes from the stone pillars obstructing your view and where you can run, as well as contributing edge grass. There is also a bad camera angle. You will notice that the 4 down tiles here are completely off screen. However, as I'll be demonstrating, the bad camera angle here is easily played around with my chaining strategy and shouldn't be much of an issue. The abundance of edge grass here shouldn't be much of a problem either. If you have a quick look through the Route 10 edge patch document, you will see that the majority of the edge patches adjacent to the pillars are incredibly unlikely to break your chain, and therefore aren't much of a risk. The positive is that there is a lot of grass to work with here, and as you can see, the numbers here are pretty decent, which is why I can't really justify a higher difficulty rating. And if you can overcome all of the challenges I just mentioned, you can build chains very efficiently here without needing to take many risks. And this is why I consider Route 10 to be the most skill-based route to radar in X and Y. Unfortunately, Route 10 is one of those routes where it likes to rain a lot, and I know a lot of people don't like trying to radar chain when it's raining. In X and Y, whether or not it rains on a specific day does depend on what date your 3DS clock is set to. So if it is raining and the rain bothers you, either try chaining on a different day or keep changing the date on your 3DS one day forward or backward until you find a day where it isn't raining. Considering there is so much grass in this route, it may not be clear as to where the best place to chain is. The spot I recommend chaining is here. This is the largest area of grass where there is a decent place to reset. You can't get these numbers any higher than this at Route 10. I've seen a lot of people chain at the north part of the route. So up here. And admittedly, this is also a pretty decent place to chain. Resetting either here or here will be pretty effective, but this isn't my preferred spot as it is a little less optimal. I might possibly make another video in future chaining up there, but for this demonstration, I'm going to be using this spot to chain. And before you attempt to chain here, make sure that you've battled this trainer here first. You'll feel pretty silly if you break a chain due to a trainer battle. As always, the first thing to do when chaining at a new route is to pick your reset tile and memorize where Zone 4 is relative to your reset tile. I recommend resetting 5 tiles from the left edge and 3 tiles from the bottom edge, so here. This is optimal for Route 10, while also conveniently putting the 4 down tiles where this stone wall is, so you won't get any off-screen patches spawning when resetting here. Around this tile, the 4 zone grass tiles are the 4 along here, 1, 2, 3, 4, the 8 along here, and the 4 patches up here. 2 of these are somewhat obstructed by this stone pillar, so 16 in total. You may think that these 2 behind the pillar don't count because you can't really see them, but it is very possible to spot the fast shakers behind the pillar and distinguish them from the medium shakers with a bit of practice. Here is a side-by-side comparison you can use as a reference. Basically, if it's a fast shaker, you will be able to very clearly see the green leafy part coming out from behind the pillar, whereas the medium shakers you can only really see the very tips moving. So when I reset here, I like to prioritize my eyes looking up here first, so if an ideal patch does spawn behind this pillar, I won't miss it. But it's honestly okay to ignore those 2 patches if you find this too hard. This is still a very decent place to reset, even if you ignore them. So of the 16 4-zone grass tiles, 11 of them I consider safe options. So those are the 6 enclosed grass tiles, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then there are 5 safe edges adjacent to these stone pillars. So these 3 edges here, 1, 2, 3. This edge here. And this edge over here, each have a well under 1% chance of breaking your chain, so those are all fine options. This edge and this edge are both around 1%, so those 2 are pretty decent options as well. And you could argue that this number is more like a 13 than an 11, if you decide to include those patches in your definition. This edge is a bit riskier at around 2%, and the 2 down here are even more risky, so I would generally avoid those for the most part. So this is where I will be resetting when building my chain for the majority of this demonstration. Another decent option is to reset 1 tile from the left edge, so here. This is a bit less optimal because we have less 4-zone grass tiles to work with, but they're all in a more compact area, which may make things a bit easier for you. Unfortunately, from this angle, view of this grass tile is completely obstructed by this pillar, so I can't count that patch in this number. Most of the edges adjacent to the pillars here are incredibly safe. And because of all these safe edges, this number is a 10, which is decent. Resetting 2 tiles from the left edge, so here, also works. It accomplishes pretty much the same thing. But I find resetting here to be a bit more annoying because you're obstructed from running up and down as easily by these pillars. The other 2 tiles I will sometimes reset are here and here, which I will only do if I'm not sure if I can safely make it back to my reset spot due to the bad camera angle here, and I'll explain more about that when I start chaining. Alright, so how you start your chain will depend on which Pokemon you are interested in chaining. For Hawlucha, Sigilith, Golett, or Emolga, start your chain in the grass. For Snubbull, Houndour, or Eevee, it's best to start in the yellow flowers where the encounter rate is higher, followed by migration. I'm going to chain Eevee to demonstrate this. I do have a video tutorial on migrating chains, so you can check that out if you want a more detailed explanation. Alright, here's an Eevee. The edge patches in this field of yellow flowers here aren't really safe at all, so your chain very well may just break on the edge if you try this. But it isn't a huge deal if this happens, you can just try again. We're alright. So to do the migration, you need to change your reset tile a couple of times in between. So first reset here. Then reset here. And from here you can just run up to the chaining spot here. So we should still be on an Eevee chain. So this is the tile I'll be resetting for the majority of this demonstration. The odds of spawning an ideal patch when resetting at this tile is around 24%. So 1 in every 4 or so resets on average we should expect to get one. Okay, this patch down here is less than ideal because it's on a pretty unsafe edge, but we're at a 2 chain, so we'll risk it. Yeah, so about a 5.2% chance of breaking a chain at this edge. There is also a chance here to get blocked in by patches, although that's extremely unlikely. Okay. We saw the 4-zone patch spawn there, but it was a medium shaker. Again, 4 was a medium shaker. This 3 was a fast shaker, so we'll take that. I'm probably not going to take too many 3s in this chain, just because I do want to demonstrate that it is possible to build chains pretty efficiently here, even without taking many risks. But if you try chaining here, feel free to take more risks if you want to. Okay. This patch is ideal. So when you take one of these 4 up patches here, this is the time when the bad camera angle of this route is a bit of a problem. Because now we've got to worry about descending safely. Because you don't want to accidentally step into a medium shaker that spawned off screen. So I'm going to pay careful attention to the patch shakes here. Okay, we didn't hear or see any fast shakers and we didn't see patch 4. So we don't know if it's safe to descend or not. So instead of running straight down, I think the best thing to do is just change your reset tile here. And then from here you can just move down again safely. Because if you look at the current reset tile diagram in the bottom right, you'll see that after we reset up there, it's now safe down here. None of the spawnable area falls on any of the grass tiles here. This patch here behind the pillar was a fast shaker. And again, we're taking a 4 up patch again, so we've got to be careful about descending. Again, it's not safe to descend. Rather than resetting here, the other option is to reset here. That works as well, it accomplishes pretty much the same thing. And we got a good patch spawn there. So, because this edge is so close to the middle of the field, it's going to be extremely safe. Yeah, there's about a 1 in 2,800 chance of your chain breaking at this tile. So that's completely negligible. Saw that patch shake again, but I'm not going to risk it again. Okay, that was a medium shaker behind the pillar there. Patch is good. I want to bring up the topic about the rain again. You notice that in this encounter here, the skies are completely clear. That means it's not going to be raining at all today. If you see that the sky looks very cloudy, that means it's going to start raining at some point during your chain. So if the rain really bothers you, make sure you're chaining on a day where it isn't raining. Got fast music. I'm going to ignore fast music for these example chains, because my main goal here is to demonstrate a 40 chain shiny. But if you do get fast music during your chain and you want to get maximum shiny patch odds, make sure you switch your reset tile to the one that maximizes shiny patch odds. Again, we can't be sure it was safe to descend, so I'm just going to reset here. And I'm going to take this 3. It's on a very safe edge. 0.26%. Good patch behind the pillar here. Patch is alright. I believe this has about a 1.1% chance of breaking a chain. Yeah, I have seen this one break my chain in the past before. So you want to be a bit more hesitant to take this one at higher chain lengths. Okay, in this situation here, we did see patch 4. It was a medium shaker, so we don't want to take it. So in this case, it's actually perfectly safe to descend, because patch 4 was up there, so we know it can't be down here. Remember, only one patch spawns in Zone 4 in each set. So if you saw it somewhere else, it can't be off screen. But in this case, we didn't see it, so we don't know if it's safe to descend or not. So I'm just going to run around here and reset here. Want to be careful on walking on patches that are behind pillars. Even if you could possibly deduce if there's a patch there or not based on where all the other patches are, it's pretty tricky to do that. So it's better just to not risk it. There was a patch behind this pillar, but it was a medium shaker. These are one of the patches you want to see. So yeah, this edge has about a 0.36% chance of breaking your chain. This edge and the two next to it here, so these three, are really decent options. They're all around 0.35, 0.4%. And I don't think I've ever seen one of those three patches break my chain before. Patch behind the pillar here was good. Edge isn't super safe, about 1.3%, but it's not too bad. One, two, three, four. This patch here was good. Getting some lucky patch spawns here. You're generally fine with this route because there's just so much grass everywhere in all directions. You'll quite often get good patch spawns after encounters like this. One, two, three, four. I think this edge is pretty unsafe. Yeah, it's about 3.4%. So we won't risk that. However, since patch 4 was there, we know it's safe to descend down to this row now, because patch 4 can't be down in this row here, because it was over there. Yep, good patch behind this pillar. Okay, so in this situation here, we definitely heard a fast shaker, but we didn't see one. So 1, 2, 3, 4. There it is. Okay, I know for sure this was a good patch, even though I couldn't see it. So in situations like that, where you definitely heard a fast shaker, but you definitely didn't see one, you know exactly where it is. It's gotta be 4 tiles down. It really can't be anywhere else. I'm gonna run the long way around here. That was a medium shaker. Good patch behind the pillar again. This patch is a really good option. This edge is really safe. Got a 0.31% chance of breaking a chain. I don't think I've ever seen this one break my chain before. Well, we got that patch to shake again. Again, 1, 2, 3, 4. I think it must have spawned on this tile here, unless it spawned up here. Yeah, I think it spawned on that 3% edge there. So... yeah, I'm probably not going to risk that at this stage. I think we're at a 31 chain at the moment. You might want to be more hesitant to take these borderline edges at this chain length. Okay, patch 4 was a medium shaker to our left there, so again it's safe to descend. Yeah, that was a good patch there. I think there was a patch that shook right below it as well, but I couldn't really tell. So Fast Shaker 3 down there. But we didn't see patch 4. Fast Shaker 3 down again. Good patch. Very close to the middle of the field is this edge, so it's going to be really safe. Yeah, about a 1 in 4,000 chance of breaking our chain. So we're at 35. Okay, when you're at a very high chain length like this, you might possibly want to change up your chaining strategy a little bit. One option is you could possibly reset here more often. This is a decent option because if you reset here, you're more likely to spawn patches on much safer edges because these edges in the middle are very safe. Might not be a bad idea to try and get safer patch spawns for your last few encounters. The other option is you could reset up here for the last few encounters to try and grind out these 3 patches here. Because it's very easy to do that. It's very unlikely you'll mess anything up doing that. But it is very slow, so I personally wouldn't do that. But you can do that if you want to. But I don't really care that much, so I'm just going to keep going with the current strategy. Troll fast music at a 36 chain. This edge here is very safe. Yeah, it's well under 1%. About 1 in 2,800 chance of our chain breaking on this edge. So we should have a 40 chain. So I recommend resetting here for Shiny Patch, which is just one tile left of the usual spot. This will give you slightly better Shiny Patch odds. So the Shiny Patch odds here are about 1 in 65 per reset. Resetting for Shiny Patches at Route 10 can be a problem because it is possible for a Shiny Patch to spawn out of sight and be impossible to accurately deduce where it is. I went into more detail on this topic in my video on Shiny Patches, so you can check that out if you are interested. But basically, if a Shiny Patch spawns on any of these tiles labeled with a question mark, you won't be able to see the sparkles. And one way this could be avoided is by migrating your chain up here to reset for your Shiny Patch, which would almost completely avoid the possibility of a Shiny Patch spawning out of sight. So the way you would do that would be to run up here and reset, and then from here you can just migrate up here. And then you can reset here for your Shiny Patch. However, I don't recommend doing that, because the Shiny Patch odds here are so much worse that it really isn't worth it. And even if you took all of these patches labeled with a question mark out of the equation, and say if a Shiny Patch spawned on any of those tiles, I'm just going to avoid it and keep resetting, the Shiny Patch odds would still be better resetting here. So I say just reset here for your Shiny Patch, and if you are in a situation where you heard a Shiny Patch but definitely didn't see one, you will either have to reset over it and keep resetting, or make an educated guess about where it is. If you did see a fast or medium shaker shake 3 tiles down, then that is most likely the Shiny. Otherwise it could be one of these patches behind the pillars. But anyway, so we're going to move back there. And I'll be resetting here for Shiny Patch. Here's our Shiny Patch. Definitely went over odds there. That took a lot of resets. Alright, I'm gonna activate Capture Power level 3 before stepping into the Shiny Patch. And luckily the Shiny Patch was in sight. Okay, that's about it for this video. If you were confused about anything that was discussed during this chain, please check out some of my radar tutorial videos. The link to my tutorial playlist will be in the description of this video. Hopefully you found this useful, thanks for watching, and good luck on your radar hunts.